you have liked to have seen more people, of course. But I think we're getting used to the concept of an exhibition game between power conference teams. Michigan State played UConn last night. We've seen a number of these games across the country because you can. And I've got to say, just I tuned in a little bit on the radio side. I watched part of it on BTN Plus. It has to be the all-time greatest exhibition game in Wisconsin basketball history because it actually was a competitive, down-to-the-wire game. I think Oklahoma could be pretty good this year. I'd like to think Wisconsin could be good. I mean, we were talking last week, I think, we're all old enough to remember the days when Marathon Oil would roll into town in the Cheech and Chong van, and they'd roll out of there with a big cloud of smoke coming out there. Who's ever off the bus first is shooting. Let's go.
They had beers in their duffel bag in the locker room.
Yes. On the bench. I think they were drinking probably cigarettes too back then too.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, Matt, they used to have these things and it was in a closed gym and no one could watch. Mm-hmm. I prefer this, and NFL teams are coming around to this too. Like the Packers have their family night, but they have those controlled scrimmages and then they play the exhibition with all the bells and whistles in the stadium. And the coaches say there's more value in the controlled practice and the starters play in that, but they don't play in the preseason game. But these have value because we're seeing more high level nationally ranked out of conference matchups early in the season. And to get your feet wet like they did against Oklahoma, that can only help.
Yeah, Greg is, if he thought that way before about the controlled scrimmage, he's really flipped that, having had a real game because he thought they got more out of a real game pressure. Now it's just a matter of how you treat it. Even he admitted. And John Blackwell played 36 minutes. They weren't load managing. And he said, if you could do that again, you get caught up in the moment. And it's just a different animal for college programs to play an exhibition game of that caliber. He is totally in favor of a couple of things. Maybe the first step is having another one or two, maybe a total of 4 exhibition games. But the thing that was interesting to me, he talked about on his radio show this week, it's always been about revenue, right? And now more than ever. And you play 31 games plus at least one in the conference tournament. So that gets you 32 games before true postseason play. He's all for playing. Let's get it to 40. And if the Big Ten stays as it is at 18 teams, you just double round robin. You have 34 conference games, and then you schedule 6 out of conference. You might have a couple of bye games, BUY games, but otherwise you're playing big name teams. I mean, it's about the revenue. And, more bodies, more games in your arena. Television partners would like it. It sounds on the surface far-fetched, but I've talked to some folks about it in the last few days, and it's maybe not as far-fetched as I might have thought, that we could see this maybe in the not-too-distant future having more regular season college basketball games.
And here's the thing. You talk about the crowd for that game. Exhibition, it's in Milwaukee. Like, what would they have drawn had it been at the Kohl Center? It would have been obviously significantly more probably. But it's a great idea. And to your point, do we have to start tamping down expectations for attendance and measuring it what it used to be? It's the same thing with TV ratings now, where it's like, oh, look at the TV ratings. Everything's nothing is like it used to be. And since COVID and the technology stuff, people don't want to leave their homes. I mean, we're going to be talking to Willie Porter, and his new album is called Humans in a Room because it was recorded live with musicians playing with no overdubs and machines and everything. Humans in a Room. That's a great concept, but we're getting away from that now as people just live their lives on their phones. And I just think you have to start tamping down some expectations for that.
I think you're right, Drew, because, I mean, let's just take the Brewers, for instance. They got red hot in the second half of the season. Attendance was good. I think you could double check this. I want to say they averaged like 32,000, but you go back to 2018 and 2019, I think it was 35 or 36 pre-COVID. And this team was a blast to watch this year. And part of it, I think, with baseball is that you're playing everybody. So you lose a home series with the Cubs, you're playing the A's instead. So that's going to hurt your game. Common sense tells you that. But I still think, and look, they're at 32,000. You're still, that's 3/4 of the ballpark, more than that. You have occupied with human bodies for every home game, but it's still down a few grand from pre-COVID. So if it's happening there, and I think in the college game, I've heard like even some of the blue blood programs in college football, you get some empty seats. Basketball, maybe not as much, but still, you're right. I think we got used to staying home. It's a lot easier. You don't know when the games are going to be. Basketball, you do now, but football, I don't know when the kickoff is for the Washington game, a week from Saturday.
Yeah, we still don't know.
You might want to look into that.
Yeah.
I mean, you are an important part of this program,
yes.
Matt.
Yeah. And so are the people who bought tickets. They're much more important to that. And they would, if they're coming over from Milwaukee or, the Northwoods, the Fox Valley, there's a big difference between a game that kicks off at 11 a.m. and a game that kicks off at 2:30
there is.
And they need to know that.
Absolutely.
So, man, I want to ask you this because we were talking about, how, and obviously we're always talking about NIL and do you have enough money in the collective and what have you. And I've kind of like I don't want to say I'm a purist, but what I love about college athletics is the intercollegiate rivalry, my school versus your school, right? And there's that pride of this is where I go, this is who I play for. And we're kind of losing that. And while the quality of basketball, and we kid around, obviously say, oh, look at it's pro, it's the second pro league. And the quality of basketball is increasing. Is it a better game? I mean, are we losing? You know where I'm going with this? Are we losing something? Is it a better game? The games are better, but is it a better game?
I wonder that even with the NBA for different sets of reasons. The athletes are better than ever, but is it a better game? And maybe this is just the old guy me hearkening for the Jordan days against the bad boy Pistons and all that stuff. But yeah, I think opinions vary with that, KB. I do look longingly at 7 or 8 years ago when it was a different world in college basketball, and even like the Wisconsin's back-to-back Final Four teams, it was a different world. And had the portal and all of that been available then, I think even those guys would tell you there would have been guys on that team who would have left before the first or second Final Four run. So I think what I've noticed, KB, is that the fan base in the off season or right before a season starts will long for the good old days. But once it starts, if your team is good,
it doesn't
then
matter.
they're all in, because one of the most common complaint, and I think it's valid, I understand it, is that with both sports that I'm around, football and basketball, but especially basketball, because you see the faces and you can recognize the player without the jersey number. You just know who so-and-so is. And they'll say, well, we just don't get to know the guys that well. And it's not quite the same. But last year, John Tangier, with Wisconsin being school number 3 for him, seems like a great guy. And he also averaged about 20 points a game. So I had a lot of those same fans were going, God, what a great guy that John Tangier is. I said, well, yeah, he scored about 20 points a game. And I think we'll consider this home or one of his homes for sure, if not, but he talks about being a Badger for life. So if your team is good, then I think fans they may not love it like they used to, but they'll still love it. Like right now with college football, a lot of people here don't really like college football because their team is bad and they're turned off by everything. But if you're a Georgia Tech fan, if you're a Vanderbilt fan, if you're an Indiana fan, their opinion, I'm sure, is going to be much different.
You love
Think about this. This just crossed my mind. And with college football, you've got obviously the great rivalries. You've got, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, USC, which was just played recently, Auburn, Alabama, those games, right? I don't know if it's happened yet, but theoretically, and think about a Michigan-Ohio State game. It's entirely within the realm of possibility that you could have a kid play for Michigan one year and Ohio State the next.
That happened.
Did it?
A few years ago. It was a guy who started, I think, his career at Ohio State, a lineman, ended up and then flipped. And we've seen it. I think we've seen it in basketball. We certainly have seen it in basketball. But yeah, and that was before the portal went crazy. It's just I think the kid sat out a year. Boren, I think is the last name, Boren. Can't remember exactly, but yeah, he was, I believe, both a Wolverine and a Buckeye. Imagine that. Now I'd take some stones to make that kind of a move.
You're going to have Joe Flacco's all over the place.
No doubt.
You know what I mean?
We're chatting with Matt LePay, the voice of the Badgers here, Drew and KB. All right. Well, speaking of football, how was your trip to Oregon? What was it like there? I know it was rainy, and I'm
Yeah.
wondering what factor the conditions played in the outcome. But what was the trip like in general, and calling a game there?
It was good. I was out there with the Badger team in 2001. I didn't have a lot of vivid memories. Joey Harrington was a quarterback, really good game. Oregon won. They've spruced up the stadium a little bit, and you could tell it was, there was it was a pretty noisy stadium. The game, for the Ducks fans was kind of blah, and the weather was brutal. I mean, there were times it was really pouring, the wind was blowing, but they filled it for a time there. So you could imagine when they've got that big time showcase game, how loud that place could be. So it seemed like a perfectly good stadium. I was told the visiting locker room was horrible. So it's all about that home field advantage.
Mm-hmm.
But the stadium itself, the atmosphere, I would call it an eccentric little town, Eugene, Oregon. And, when you're having the Grateful Dead as your theme for the game,
Love it.
a lot of mellow music being played pregame, KB, a little unusual for a college football environment.
How was the smell?
Yeah.
Well, it was, kind of sweet, actually.
I can
The wind's
imagine
blowing
that.
into the booth. Yeah, had some brownies, and that was good.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I can
What's the
imagine.
media
I
spread?
can imagine. Yes. So I was worried about this game, and the Badgers showed up, whether it was weather or just I was expecting it to be on a fast track. Maybe it would have been a different story, but I thought the Badgers defense and those linebackers are coming along, and again they keep showing me something. These guys are plucky, man. I watched the game, and it almost feels like it's varsity against the freshmen in some cases, but they're playing hard. I can't quibble with what the players are doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I go into games now fearing the worst, that it's going to be 56-0 or 56-3, and the weather certainly played a part in it. It would be naive to think otherwise. But the way and Tausch and I were talking about the way the Badger defense, those guys were flying around all over the place, and the veteran guys too, guys like Ben Barton and Daryl Peterson up until he got the targeting penalty, but they were leaving it all out there. But the young guys, Mason Posa, the freshman linebacker from Albuquerque, New Mexico, Cooper Catalano, who had 1 million tackles at Germantown High, Eugene Hilton, the wide receiver, who made a really good adjustment on the ball and actually set up this thing called a touchdown that Wisconsin scored in the fourth.
What was that like?
Quarter.
Did you remember your call?
I had to think about it.
Did you have it written down?
I almost slipped a third word in there that might have gotten me in trouble. But yeah, it's a touchdown, and it was Wisconsin.
So,
but that's what I guess it's one of the things you look for, and it's not nearly good enough for a fan. I understand that. When a team is having a bad year like this one, are you phoning it in? Are you just kind of going through the motions? And clearly they're not doing that. They're just abysmal on offense.
Yeah.
You
So
can't sugarcoat that.
that begs the question: when they do reconvene and play at Washington, who's the money on to be the quarterback? Is it back to Danny O'Neil? Is it Carter Smith? Like, what direction are we going?
Yeah, well, there's 4 games left. So technically, Carter Smith could play the remaining 4 games and still preserve his redshirt status. But, he's been on the scout team all year. And I haven't been over there this week. I don't know what kind of practices they're having or any changes that they might have in the offing. It was a little bit surprising that they didn't get O'Neil in there a little bit. At one point, I think Hunter Simmons was 1 for 12. And that's not great.
Yeah.
Just to get somebody who could bring a little bit of a running dimension, but by not playing him, it kind of tells you that there's just not much trust right now in him. So maybe this week, throughout the course of this week, early next, they can see enough from at least O'Neil, if not somebody else, to at least get him into the mix. But they're just, they're obviously so limited at quarterback right now. And their offensive line, again, Jake Renfro didn't play, so they're still mixing and matching. Their top 2 running backs didn't play, so all that stuff is real, but it's just like excruciatingly tough for fans to watch this Wisconsin offense right now.
Yeah.
They scored a touchdown, and we're all like, giving high fives there in the booth. Like,
it's
that's where they are.
Having a drive with multiple first downs is a reason.
Big wins.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Back to the defense, Matt. A good friend of mine, he wanted me to ask you about this because his next door neighbor, and he watched him grow up, was Cooper Catalano.
Mhm.
And Oregon, your first start as a freshman, and it's Oregon. I mean, that's a pretty tall order. What's your opinion of him? You know, as he's playing now, I think he eight or nine tackles, but as he's playing now, what do you see as the upside?
I like him a lot. He just lives and breathes the game. You know, the all-time record for tackles in Wisconsin at the high school level. I sat down, I did an interview with him a few weeks ago, and just he's the kind of guy that Wisconsin football fans will really embrace. You know, I mean, the in-state guy for sure. And Mason Posa too. I had a great chat with him. He's from New Mexico. But he seems like the guy who is that model Badger type of player. But yeah, I would think somebody like Cooper Catalano is there. You know, Luke Fickles mentioned this last week was the latest on his show that he mentioned it. That one of the things that you really desperately need to try to do, and it's not as easy as it used to be, is find those guys where playing here means a lot, where the W means a lot. And I think for Cooper Catalano especially, this is living a dream for him. Now, we're in a different world. You know, you've got to retain the roster and all of that. But, man, I would think, KB, that his future is really bright. The sky's the limit for what this guy could do as a part of the Wisconsin defense.
He seems like that tattoo born to be a Badger. Like just
Yeah.
the way he plays, the way he approaches
strike me as
it.
a transfer portal guy.
Yeah,
And he
just
wants the W and he's staying.
And you know, build around guys like that. To your point, like the pipeline of guys just like him, cut from that mold. That's kind of the lifeblood of this program for the last 25 years.
Yeah, and fans, and I get it, they have been frustrated because I think there were 6 or 7 Wisconsin guys in this year's recruiting class, freshman class. I know they're really high on Michael Roski, an offensive lineman. He's from Watoma. You're hoping to redshirt him this season. He's one of those guys but when you think of this state, you think of, a lot of things with football, but especially offensive linemen. So, we'll see if they're able, to make more inroads in the state of Wisconsin. I guess if you're good, again, people will embrace you. I don't know how many Indiana high school guys are on the Indiana Hoosiers roster, probably a similar number to Wisconsin. I don't think many start, but they're really good. But here, it means a lot to Badger fans to get the in-state guy. And I think also, even though we don't have the population as like in Ohio, for instance, you take the best guys in this state, through the course of time, and you put them up with pretty much anybody. I mean, I don't know if Ohio's produced an offensive lineman any better than Joe Thomas.
Right.
Okay. Melvin Gordon was pretty good. Leo Chanel ain't bad. The best of the best. But even that, I mean, those are the really good guys, the superstars who, Hall of Famer with Joe. But there's a lot of other guys who are like the backbone of the program. And you don't even have to be a 4-star scholarship guy. Last time I checked, Jim Leonard was a walk-on here.
That's right.
And that worked out pretty well. His football playing career went pretty well.
Look at the guys playing on Sundays. Look at Zach Vaughn as a perfect example of that too.
Yeah.
The guy was a quarterback and they turned him into a Super Bowl winning linebacker.
And that's the kind of stuff that I was talking about. Is the game is better, but is it a better game? I mean, some of that is gone. That pride of playing for your state. I mean, I guess it's just, you're not putting the toothpaste back in the tube, but it is kind of sad.
It's more transactional.
Right.
That's as a society.
It is, KB. I don't even know off the top of my head how many, with basketball. I know Wisconsin basketball, I think there are 4 players from the state of Wisconsin. Marquette last year, was it 1 or 2?
Yeah.
I think. And it's now, and they were really good. So I'm sure the fans embraced that. But yeah, I think some of that charm maybe that you're alluding to is it's just not the same as it used to be. And but again, I go back, if your team is good, then the fans will support it. But it's different. It is, especially if our age bracket, it's just different from what we've been used to following college sports.
We never would have probably, if it was in the age of the transfer portal, we probably would not have hated Christian Laettner as much. But I mean, seriously, you couldn't, you didn't have a fan base that had to see him a lot over and over again. If you were North Carolina, or anyone in the ACC, so you didn't. You know, you didn't
That's
know
a
you
good
had to
point.
hate him.
That's a good point. Hey, Matt, on the way out, there's a lot the churn of coaching changes in the carousel in college football, especially with Brian Kelly. Like, do you ever remember this many high-level jobs being open? And at this point of the year, it's one thing to have Black Monday after the last weekend of the season, but we're seeing guys get clipped now, and between Franklin and Kelly and those high-profile jobs, man,
Yeah.
like we talk about how expensive players are. If you have to buy out a coach and then buy out the coach you get to replace him, and then pay him and his new staff and paying coordinators $1 million, like, holy cow, did this thing get out of control quick?
Yeah, boys, we screwed up because I want to be Brian Kelly, get paid $54 million to go away.
Well,
I mean, it's insane. It's right now. And it sounds like in Louisiana, the governor got involved, if you believe what you read and hear about that. I think one of the storylines right now, Drew, is that you have all these, high profile openings. Not everyone's going to make a sexy hire. Like what's on paper is sexy hire. You hope you strike gold. Maybe you get the next great coordinator, or a Kirk Signetti who worked his way up, was at JMU, and now everybody can see what he's doing at Indiana. But I even go back here. Now, it sounds like everything's going to stay the same here, but you look at some really successful coaches that Wisconsin has had. Barry Alvarez was a coordinator. He was never a college head coach, so he got this job. Brett Bielema was never a college head coach, so he got this job. Paul Chryst was a head coach at 3 years at Pitt, but otherwise he had been a coordinator. So it doesn't always have to be that flashy. I mean, you get the feeling that LSU will pay, if they get a top line guy, they may pay $15 million a year for this guy, which at some point,
It's
like, you keep hearing they don't have any money. Like, well, maybe if you just had a lot better players, you don't have to get a rock star coach. Just get somebody who knows ball, and save $6 or $7 million a year. Put that into your rev share as part of your $20.5 million. It seems like that would make some sense, but sense never plays a part of this.
No, and the Belichick sideshow that was.
Oh my
remember,
God!
like, we were all going to be watching North Carolina every week, and then we realized no, we don't need to watch North Carolina.
They're horrible.
And that hasn't worked. But those guys surface and take less money. The NFL guys, it used to be you were either a college coach or you were a pro coach, right? And the difference is now you could see guys go from pros to college, even though there's more headaches in college, and most guys would rather coach in the NFL than in college, because for all the reasons we've talked about, boosters and NIL and stuff.
You remember when Coach Prime was a thing at Colorado?
Yeah.
Now where are they? You're talking about off the radar.
Off the radar, suddenly not on SportsCenter every 5 minutes and not on ESPN. Funny how that works. And same thing with Belichick. Who'd have thought that his legacy would be to just go and die on the vine?
Well, yeah, but he's got a 23-year-old girlfriend. I don't think he cares.
True.
True. Got a smile on his face.
Yeah, he's laugh at me all you want.
But everybody's going to chase the next Signetti, and they're going to overpay, and these buyouts, and like maybe coaches should have non-guaranteed contracts. Maybe that should become the norm.
Well,
right?
and some of LSU state employee, and then the athletic director. We did this story yesterday. The AD at LSU, he was at A&M, and he's responsible for $129 million in buyouts. Within 3 years or 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, he's still working.
Get it.
Yes.
Good work if you can get it.
Yes, they can pay me not to work anytime, and I will sign up.
No doubt.
Matt LePay is going to be working tonight, guarding against Cancer, the exhibition, Platteville, and the Badgers. Tip off at 7, right, Matt?
Correct.
And you and Butchie, Mr. Popcorn, the Prince of Popcorn, next to you.
Butchie will have his barrel of popcorn.
Love
and
it.
Good to go.
That's fantastic. Enjoy the festivities. That's always a great night, seeing the Guard brothers go at it. Like, there's, I still wonder if there's like this, if they have little side action, or, hey, I need to see something against this set. Can you throw this defense against me? Like, there's collaboration going on.
If for some reason this game is tight, there's going to be some puckering up going on there. You know that.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun for their whole family. The entire Guard family is going to have, I'm sure, a big section. And then they'll all be wearing neutral colors too, I'm sure. They have
I'm sure. No doubt.
No red, no blue, and orange. Matt, thanks for joining us. Always a treat. Have a fun call tonight. Always good to talk to Matt LePay. Always cover a lot of topics with the Central Standard Distillery Timeout Sports Lounge is just getting ready to close. We will be back with our last call Coming up next, you're listening to Drew and KB.
Now, a year in rock
Want to
spotlight.
watch Drew and KB? They're live
California's
on YouTube,
Creedence
Facebook, and
Clearwater
X
Revival
right now.
released their debut.
Anywhere where there's video.
Yeah, exactly.
Just search 97.3 The Game. No BS on The Game.
Show up all the odds of the different teams that could win the title. There are 14 teams up on there, none of which were named the Milwaukee Bucks.
Wow.
For the first time in a long time.
No, not top 14. Jeez.
Let alone top 4. I mean, that's been the Bucks for a majority of the last decade since Giannis has taken that next step and become the MVP player that he is and has been in the NBA. So you just see in the Potawatomi Sportsbook right now, you can look down the list of different teams, and I think the Bucks appear right around 15th or 18th in terms of odds. Like 50-1 long shots to win the NBA championship.
Plus 5,000 right
And
now.
understandably so. They are a really, really unproven group and a very unproven commodity. Well, they got the best player in the Eastern Conference that is still exceedingly wide open. Definitely not as much of an open and shut case as I think the Western Conference is, with Oklahoma City kind of head and shoulders above everybody. In the East, I don't see that, and I see a team that is, with him as motivated as he appears to be, it could lend itself to positive results.
Billy and Armin are talking about all of your favorite teams each morning from 6 to 10 on The Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1972.
This will be the day that I die. 1972, Don McLean goes to number 1 with the single and album American Pie. Paul Simon's solo debut gives him a top 10 hit, Mother and Child Reunion. Fast forward to March, where Neil Young has a number 1 album and a number 1 single with Heart of Gold. And Deep Purple released their quintessential album Machine Head, which goes to number 1 in the UK, number 7 in the US, and features the classic hit Smoke on the Water. Also in March, the band America releases their debut album. It goes to number 1 and yields a number 1 single with Horse with No Name.
See, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1972. Coming up.
Saving energy saves you money. Whether you switch to Energy Star light bulbs, install Energy Star windows, or add extra insulation. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's Hunter Baumgart with a programming update. Where can you find the games you want to listen to and when? We've got the answers. Coming up tonight, the Wisconsin Badgers men's basketball team hosts UW-Platteville in an exhibition game at the Kohl Center. Tip-off is at 7 o'clock. You can hear the game in Milwaukee on News Talk 1130 WISN with pregame beginning at 6:30. In Madison, you can hear the game on 1310 WIBA. Also, the Milwaukee Admirals host Chicago at Panther Arena this evening at 7. Pregame begins at 6:30 on Fox Sports 920 WOKY. I'm Hunter Baumgart for the Game Radio Network.
Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1968.
California's Creedence Clearwater Revival released their debut LP, which contains the number 11 single Susie Q. And in August, American band Tommy James and the Shondells have a number 1 hit in the UK with Moni Moni. It goes to number 8 in the US. And the Doors have their first number 1 album and their second and last number 1 single with Hello, I Love You.
When she moves.
We've reached the closing ceremonies in the Central Standard Distillery Timeout Sports Lounge, our happy hour oasis. Happy that you hung out with us. Before we leave today, though, I want to remind folks that I'm bopping around with my new hip, and it's like having a new lease on life. And you should visit orthowisconsin.com to learn about Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. The clinic, or I should say the facility that's going up in Johnson Creek, will be awesome. It'll open in the next year. But their services, it's worth the trip. If you need anything in the area of orthopedic help for shoulders, wrists, elbows, knees, hips. Whether it's degenerative or a sports injury, Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin is your first stop. OrthoWisconsin.com, the website. They're the best in the industry, the best care you can get. World-class care right here in Wisconsin, OrthoWisconsin.com. Time for last call. KB, what are you putting in your cup as we head to the streets?
Well, we're supposed to talk about sports, but it's days like this that I just love because Willie Porter in the studio, Adam Pavlock. It goes fast. And tomorrow it gets even better with Steve Poltz. If you don't know Steve Poltz, you cannot miss this show. He just put out a song with Billy Strings.
Yep.
And
the Jewel, he's an international.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just an outstanding singer-songwriter. And he came to us. He wanted to come on our show. So
looking forward to that. Hunter, what's in your cup? What's your last call?
Looking forward to Game 5 of the World Series coming up tonight. Probably the most meaningful baseball game of the year so far. We'll see what the drama builds into tonight.
My last call tonight, I will echo what KB said. And, Alfredo, Adam Pavlov's dog was a great guest. We got to have more dogs in the studio. Dogs equal ratings.
Yes, they do.
Howard Stern said, no, that's not what he said, but it's a variation of that. So want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. Thanks to the great Matt LePay for joining us. Thanks to Adam Pavlock, John Greenberg, and of course, the incredible Willie Porter. If you get a chance to see Willie, check him out. We love exposing people to his music, and they always tell us, thanks for turning me on to that guy. He's awesome. Yes, he is. Proud to call him a friend. One of the greatest human beings, greatest musicians in Wisconsin. No question. We're going to do it all over again tomorrow at 2:00. We'll see you then.
Make good choices.